This week we're going to be doing this hyper-realistic slice of tomato in polychromos color pencils. For those of you that are new here, my name is Michelle Moreus, and I create art tutorials that are fun, easy, and accessible for everyone. And if you're returning, welcome back and thanks for watching. We're going to be doing this hyper-realistic slice of tomato in polychromos color pencils and a jelly roll pen. You want to start out with a really good sketch, so you want to make sure that you put in where your highlights are going to be and where all your shadows are. So I'm going in and I'm going to color map, and I do this with all of my drawings. I start with going in with a light layer and just kind of map out where each color is going to be and give myself some guidelines so that I don't get lost as I'm drawing the item. So we're going in and I'm just going to define those little areas where the tomato seeds are going to be and where that really juicy part of the tomato is. Before you even start your drawing, you want to pick out your colors and swatch them on a separate piece of paper, and I like to put the numbers next to them so that I know exactly what color I'm looking for if I'm looking to get a specific area. So I have pre-sharpened all of my pencils and I have my color swatches next to me, and this way you're really prepared to just get into the drawing. I'm going to give a really light coat of this fleshy part of the tomato. I'm going to give it a nice coat of this kind of a peachy pink color. And I'm going over the whole background part of the tomato, and we're just going to give it a nice light coat, and we're going to build up slowly and gradually to create the hyper-realistic look that we're going for. So I'm going to put several tones down, and this is so that you get a richer look when you add in a lot of different colors. So we're going to deepen everything up as we go along, but nice and slow. When you look at the reference image, you see that the left side is a little bit darker than the right, and sometimes the fleshy part of the tomato gets a little more yellow. In other parts, it's a little more red. So you really want to layer the colors. It just really gives it so much more depth and so much more detail. So that's why you go in with the light layers, and you'll find that it really improves the realistic look of the tomato. And just you want to pay attention to your reference image. You could take one section at a time if you like. I did that little part on the bottom with the seeds just to kind of get a feel for what I was going to do with the rest of the piece. So now I'm going in, there's some little kind of veins that are yellowy that go into where the seeds are, and I'm adding those in. Now we're going to put several more colors on top and just really build this up and really create this dramatic effect. Now, your drawing will look much more realistic if you have really good contrast. So you want to have your darks be dark enough, your lights be light enough, and you want to have the full range of values in between. So you don't want to just use a couple of colors, and you want to keep pushing your values. And this is what's going to create a lot of drama in this piece. I really don't run out of anything to draw ever. There's always something to draw. There's always something around the house. There's always something to draw. So you can take even like a boring photo of a slice of tomato and really have some fun with it. And I did have fun drawing this. It can get a little bit tricky in the areas where those seeds are, but you just keep building it up slowly. And then you'll watch when the magic happens towards the end when we go in with that jelly roll pen and then glaze over the jelly roll. I will leave a link in the description below of all the materials that I'm using today and all the colors. And up above, if you click on that card, it'll take you to my blending color pencil video for your beginners. So the polychromos color pencils are an oil-based color pencil. If you're using Prismacolors, they will work just as well, but Prismas are a wax-based color pencil. The beauty of the polychromos is the oil-based pencil, you don't get a wax bloom. What I mean by the wax bloom is your drawings can sometimes look a little bit milky or cloudy. And that's because the wax kind of comes up to the top of the paper after it's set for a little while, and it gets kind of a cloudy effect. With these oil-based polychromos, it does not do that, and they really blend beautifully. So all of these layers, we're not using any solvent, we're not using a colorless blender. We are just going to lightly increase the pressure as we get our layers down. So you don't fully burnish until your final layers, because you'll ruin the tooth of the paper and you won't be able to put any more detail on top. So by burnishing, I just mean that you're going to increase the pressure of the pencil. Now keep a sharp color pencil. This will prevent you from pushing too hard on the paper and also ruining that tooth. So the sharp color pencil will put down a light layer. If you're having trouble controlling that pressure, if you hold the pencil back a little further on the barrel, you'll be able to just keep putting that light layer down, and you won't be tempted to push too hard and ruin the tooth of the paper. There is a point where it can't take any more color pencil on top, but if you keep working in light layers, you should be able to put down 10 or 15 different layers on top. So just keep working slowly and gradually. If you are working lightly and gradually, you should still be able to go in with either an electric eraser or a stick eraser like a Tombow Mono eraser and pull out some of those little bit of that color where the highlights are going to be. But you don't have to worry about that too much. If you're going really slowly, you should be able to control that, and like I said, still pick out some color with that eraser if need be. Another little trick for hyperrealism is that if you pair up a really bright highlight with a really deep shadow, your drawing will pop a lot more. So you'll see as we get farther along in the drawing, when I start to go in with the jelly roll and put in those really bright highlights, I'm gonna go back in with a darker pencil and kind of darken up just around where that highlight is, and you'll see what a great effect that has. So we're just going to keep building up that juicy part of the tomato. And for this, I'm using deep reds, I'm using some oranges, I'm using some yellows. And we want to give the illusion that part of that seed is in further into the tomato where it's going to get darker, and part of it is up closer. So you want to make sure that you have all that range of values in there, and you're just going to really get a really nice hyper-realistic look. If you're enjoying my tutorials, if you would please smash that like button and leave me a comment below. I really enjoy hearing from each and every one of you, and I do get back to all of you. It does make me feel closer to you guys when we can have a little bit of a conversation in the comment box below. The YouTube gods also smile upon the creators that get a lot of feedback and have a lot of likes and a lot of subscribers. So if you would also subscribe to my channel, it would really mean the world to me. We work really hard at creating these tutorials for you, and you know, we would appreciate a nice subscribe and a nice thumbs up. So as you can see now, we have a lot of layers down on this bottom half of the tomato. So my layers that I'm putting down on top are really kind of just smushing all those colors together. I'm not going full pressure, I'm not doing a full burnish, but I am increasing the pressure slightly, and everything is blending really beautifully. That is the great part about these polychromos pencils. It's the oil base pigment in there just really blends together beautifully. And it just is really looking pretty nice and smooth, and I'm not looking at a lot of the white of the paper in the bottom section of the tomato, so I don't feel the need to use solvent or anything. We're just gonna mush together all those pencils with like a little bit of a lighter pencil. I'm going to go ahead and go in with my Jelly Roll pen and just pop some of my highlights so that I can kind of see where I am in the drawing and see where I need to adjust my values and where I need to go a little darker, or where I need to really pop that bright white highlight. Now we're going to glaze over some of this Jelly Roll towards the end, but it really helps to sometimes put that in to kind of give you a little guideline. And I might go over it with some color pencil, but it just kind of gives you a little bit of a map as to where you're going and where that highlight has to be and where it needs to go darker. So I'm popping in my highlights, and if you really look at your reference image, you'll see that the tomato is really pretty textured, and where it's textured, it has like bright white kind of dots almost in a pattern, and just pay attention to the pattern that it makes. So I'm going to kind of go in really pretty heavy with my Jelly Roll pen, and I'm going to add all these little dots all the way around my tomato. And then I'm going to go back over with that fleshy peachy color pencil and just kind of glaze over those areas. And you'll see it's going to really start to get shiny looking and glossy and just really, really start to pop off the page. Now, right where I put those white, bright highlights, I'm going to go back in, and I'm going to take my dark red pencil and I'm going to add just a little tiny bit of shadow right next to that white highlight, and you'll see it really starts to get a 3D effect. So I'm just putting all those little dots in, and they do kind of make a little pattern, so just pay attention to that. They kind of make like a squiggly line and then some dots. And I'm going over the whole entire flesh part of the tomato, leaving the seed part out, but going over the whole fleshy part. And then once I've got all this done, then there we go. We're going in with our peachy pink color, and I'm glazing just over those ever so slightly to just tone them down so they're not bright white, but they're still bright enough to give that really kind of juicy look to them. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, leave me a comment below, hit that like button, and we'll see you on the next video. I put out new tutorials every Thursday afternoon, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Thanks so much for watching, and happy art.